welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Collector Showcase. This is a crazy week. We're like doing 2 streams in 3 days, which is very rare for me. But I'm so happy to welcome our guest here. This has been, we were talking a little bit pre-stream, a long time coming. We got Miss PokiChloe in, to talk about basically everything in her and the hobbies. So. For anybody watching back, just before we get started, Collector Showcase is just an episodic series I do where I interview people who are in the business of collectibles, investors, personalities, pretty much anyone that I find interesting in the hobby. I try to at least have a conversation with. And Chloe, I think you kind of check all of those boxes when it comes to this. So, thank you so much for coming on. And how's the week going? You just got back from Collecticon.
Yeah, so literally got back a few days ago, and it's obviously the Easter break here. Obviously, we've got Easter on Sunday, so it's a bank holiday today in the UK, and the shop has been crazy busy. So we've been working in the shop with the team, and I think this whole weekend is going to be busy as well. But that's just how it is. Straight back to it after a busy Collecticon.
Yeah, you really don't stop. The amount of times you fly to the States is more than anyone I know at this point. I mean, just the amount of travel. And I want to definitely dive in a little bit more into the shop, Collector's Cardhouse. For anybody who doesn't know, Chloe owns a local game store, TCG store, however you want to call it. And you guys just celebrated a year last weekend, actually being open. So before we kind of dive into that, I guess everyone knows who you are, I think, at this point, especially anyone who's on this channel. But for 2025, what does 2025 look like for Chloe and Collector's Cardhouse?
We've been open a year, and I think when we first opened the store, we didn't know how it was going to go. Was it going to be successful? Were people going to come and see us? What that was going to look like? And ever since we've opened, it's just got busier and busier and busier, and it's been great. But this year especially, I've really seen like the uptake everywhere. My channel, in the shop, just everything, and the two go hand in hand now. Like, a lot of my content is based around the store. Obviously, if people watch the POVs, it's kind of a little bit different from the standard like opening packs Pokemon content. It gives you an insight into how we run the store, what the day-to-day looks like. And I think it's just interesting for people to see that other side of it. But no, this year for me is just keeping my head down, working hard, keep it growing, and just expanding really in every way, shape and form.
Yeah, I think that you're a really, really good example of somebody who just, if there's an avenue or an opportunity that you can explore, like you do, and props on being able to turn some of the content into the shop, because you can actually be working there and making content at the same time, which I'm sure you like. But one thing that I find interesting, because a lot of people don't really, there's a lot of I'll call it taboo right now in the hobby when it comes to starting an LGS and actually trying to get distribution and suffering from like allocations, driving foot traffic. We talked a little bit before stream, and guys, apologies. Chloe and I caught up a ton, like 10, 15 minutes. I was like, man, I got to save some of this for talking with everyone else. But, I described Collector's Cardhouse as almost like a landmark in the UK for people in the Pokemon and just the collectible space. And I think that I would describe you guys as being very different than just, hey, there's my local LGS down the street. And kind of like we talked about, I think maybe something like Mile High Comics is something that I can imagine as a brand in the US that people, it's a destination point that people go to. Or Cardinal Gaming, shout out Mason. I'll say yours is landmark as well. But why do you think that Collector's Cardhouse has been able to sort of separate itself? And I know obviously, yourself, Dean, anybody who makes content, that's going to drive a little bit of traffic, but I don't think that guarantees long-term traffic, especially for a year in. How have you guys been able to set yourself aside and make people say, hey, I've got to go to Chloe's shop? Like that's the place I'm going when I'm around that area.
I think we're kind of in a lucky position. So in the UK, if I compare it to the US, there is just nowhere near as many TCG stores, LGSs. I feel like when I travel to the States, no matter what town I go to, there's always a handful of card shops within like a 10, 15-minute radius of where I am. It's just not the case in the UK, which is one of the reasons we decided to open the store, to give people somewhere to go. And yeah, it has turned into just this hub, like this central hub. I think it's a combination of things. I think obviously me and Dean making content on the store, people watch it, they then want to come and see what it's actually like in person. But like you said, that doesn't guarantee you constant foot traffic or, like the long-term side of things. I also think that the store itself, when we actually bought the shop, we wanted somewhere that was big enough where people could come and spend the day. They could hang out for the day. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not huge. I've seen much bigger stores, but we have the seating area where people can sit down. They can open their packs. They can play TCG. They can, you know, spend the day and hang out. And my team as well. I'm very lucky. I have a great team. They're very welcoming, super helpful. Like, I get people message me or like leave comments on the channel saying like, oh, George helped me in store today, or Shay helped me, Oscar helped me, and like tell them thank you, like I love you guys and whatever. And yeah, we then see the same people coming back week in, week out. We get the new people that come and visit. So yeah, I think it's a combination of things really that have helped us sort of grow and solidify sort of our place. But yeah, it's a very different situation in the UK. There just isn't as many shops, so I think that's also helped massively that obviously we're now one of the few that exist.
Well, yeah, it's great to make it, a hangout spot. I think sometimes, especially over here, I mean, you're right. I mean, I can buy cards at gas stations here. Like
Yeah.
there's somewhere to go, to get something. But one thing I've realized I'm in Texas, so there's a few places where I see, and I'll go into a shop, and if they don't have a hangout area, it's just a counter. Here's our products for sale. It's usually, whoever's working the counter is just on their phone, just sitting there. Hey, how's it going? But they actually put an area in where people can spend time, and actually engage with other people. I've always found that that's a lot more inviting, and it makes me say, well, hey, I'm going to hang out here. I'm going to talk to these guys. Like, let's talk about this hobby we have in common. I'm curious, have you had many interactions with people who come in who don't know you and Dean from content? They're just like, oh, I looked up a card store.
Yeah, we have. We get the people that obviously are within sort of maybe the local area that have recently got back into collecting for whatever reason, and they've, looked up the store and came and found it. The BBC actually recently came to the store like a month or two ago, and they did an article, and we had a lot of people coming off the back of that, and like people who live like not far from us saying like, I had no idea this store was here, like I had no idea about you guys, but like I'm so glad I've now found it because it's like my local place I can come to. But yeah, we get a lot of people that come in that have no idea about the channel. Sometimes they see the camera and they're like, what's going on here, like what's happening? So yeah, we get the people that watch the channel and become because of that, but we also get the people that just find us organically as well.
No, I love that because it's like we talked about, like driving organic foot traffic. There has to be people who come in who are not quote unquote content fans, coming in and enjoying it. So that's and congrats on the BBC article. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was crazy.
How did that come about? I mean, was that something they contacted you guys? Did you guys reach out? I mean, what did that look like?
Yeah, so just a journalist at the BBC DM'd me saying he worked for like a subsection of the BBC that was like the local area. He said, I just want to come in and sort of do an article, and he was a Pokemon fan himself, so I think that helped. And I said, you'll come down, and it was originally just meant to go out on like the local website. And the day it went out, I was actually in the airport traveling to LA for LA CollectorCon, and suddenly like all these people started messaging me being like, the Cardhouse is on like the main page of the BBC, and I was like, no, it shouldn't be.
No, the local.
I was like, when they came in that day, I was like not really prepared, like took some like scruffy pictures, and yeah, they messaged me, and then I started looking at it on the website, and like all my mum and dad's like family friends were messaging me being like, oh my god, you're on the BBC. I was like, no, please, like it wasn't meant to go out that far. But no, it was really good. He put the article together really well, and that weekend I wasn't there, but the team told me how busy it was, so many people coming down like after seeing it. So yeah, no, it was incredible. It just sort of came out of nowhere really.
No, congratulations. That's got to be a little bit of a surprise where like mom's like, hey, we're just looking at the news, and there you are.
Literally, yeah, it was crazy.
No, that's so awesome. And with starting an LGS and kind of everything that you guys have to do, I mean, you sort of have your work cut out for you. I mean, you are traveling, buying content appearances, you're streaming. How many days a week now are you streaming?
So I normally stream about 3 days a week on average.
Okay. So when you throw that in and you throw travel in and then you throw running an actual business, I guess my question is, and it's very broad, how do you do this? I mean, do you have time to yourself ever at this point, or is it just anything you're doing is affecting one of those areas at this point?
Yeah, I mean, they all go hand in hand. So normally when I travel, it's for a convention. Normally when I'm at the convention, I'll either do a stream, or I'm making content, or I'm doing something. When I'm at the shop, I'm running the shop. I'm literally serving people behind the till. I'm also capturing content. Like that's what a lot of the videos are. And then we're open 5 days a week. We close on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but normally for me, Tuesday and Wednesday is then doing all my emails and doing all my content stuff, and organizing all of that, setting up my streams, and then so we're open 11 a.m. till 7 p.m. and most of the time I stream once we close in the evening. So there's like 3 days of the week where work at the shop all day, then do a stream, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, however long it is. And then by the time I get home, it's like 10 p.m. I go to bed and then I wake up and do it again.
Do it all over again.
Yeah, I don't really take a lot. I mean, I just don't have the time to take, like, unless I literally book time off.
Like, hey, I'm going on vacation.
Yeah. I don't do very often at all. I think when you have your own business, you just have to, it doesn't matter whether it's in Pokemon or, whatever field you're in. You have to realize it is going to take over your life, and you have to put everything you possibly can into it if you want it to, really succeed and really sort of like push the barriers. So it's just one of those things. Like before, I worked a very normal 9-to-5 job, had lots and lots of spare time when I look back on it. And it's the complete opposite now, but I would never go back to what I was doing before. As stressful and as hard as it is sometimes, I enjoy it, and it's very rewarding as well.
Well, it's especially, going from a traditional 9-to-5 and definitely doing your own business. I mean, you realize how much time you actually had, which think like, how much could I have done with this amount of hours, and weekends off, whatever that looks like.
Easy.
How do you, with now, and it makes sense. For as much as you're doing, and that's not even including your travel time. It's not like you're just flying like a couple hours over to go to a convention. You're literally, in the air 15 hours probably at this point. I don't even know how long the flights are. How do you, I'm sure there's been plenty of times and days that you've woken up and it's just like that deep sigh of like, this is not my day. Like,
no.
I've got my sweats on. I just want to lay here, at this point. How do you get over that? How do you get over, I guess, burnout after doing this for so long? Because, I've talked to a lot of people who, I talked to Lee about this, Lee and Hart. He was really putting out a ton of content and he had to scale back a bit because he was like, look, I was super burnt out. just having to constantly come up with original ideas. Yeah. You're similar to that, but you're a little bit different. Yours is literally just time when it comes to that. How do you stay motivated? How do you stop the burnout? Maybe you do take a day, which you very much deserve, but on those days where it's like, I literally cannot take a day and I've got to push through this. How do you do that?
It really is a bit of like just psychological, convince yourself you have to get this done. There's no other way around it. But there are some days, like depending what day of the week it is, if you see me in the shop, there are some days where my hair is scraped back. I'm in my tracksuit. I might have my sunglasses on. Like I look unapproachable. I never am, but I look unapproachable. And then there's some days where I've like made an effort. And even like some of my team members say to me, they're like, oh, like you brushed your hair today. You look nice. It's hard. It is hard. And ever since opening the store, it's got harder because before it was all of this was online and I was still working every day, still packing orders and, streaming and doing all the content stuff. But having the store and like not just having a store and streaming, I have a team that I look after now. I'm responsible for other people and their job and their well-being as well. Some days are very tough. Like I'm going to be completely honest. Sometimes like there's some tears here and there. There's like, I need to go outside for 10 minutes and just have a breather. I think you just have to learn like your own coping mechanisms. Like if taking 15 minutes outside and having something to eat and just like taking yourself away for a minute and then coming back a bit refreshed works. Do that 5 or 6 times a day if you need it that day. Like you just have to do what works for you. But yeah, it's no illusion that it's like all like happy and like stress-free. Like it's not at all. I think you just have to put on a brave face and just, show people that you can deal with it and you are going to cope with it one way or the other.
So everyone should know if Chloe's in the corner with her sunglasses on, sitting at the table,
don't talk to me.
Give her a wave. Give her a wave, give her a chancy plushie and just walk away. Don't even say anything.
Yeah, that's the vibe.
Well, one thing that I love about the shop's POV videos and stuff that you put out, because those are honestly some of my favorite pieces of content that you do, because I love seeing it's almost like there's so much conversation happening. I'm trying to hear the interactions. Like I just want to see what it's like, with everybody there. Like you said, you've got people coming in like week over week who are the same faces. Is there is there like an interaction, I guess, that you've had that maybe you call back to that kind of stands out that you've had with someone in the shop specifically, whether they knew your content or not, that you were like, man, that was a special thing that I
Like
just experienced. I mean, is
wholesome.
there anything like that?
Yeah, there's been a few. Like we've had people that have come in that have traveled like from literally other countries, and we're talking like Dubai, America, Canada, like within Europe. And like I always say to them, I'm like, oh, like you're here for a holiday and you're just stopping by. And there's a few people that have said, no, we like our holiday has been based around the shop. And it blows my
That's
mind that
amazing.
people are coming out of their way that far to come and see us and come and see it in person. And some of the interactions with like some of the kids that come into the store, it's just you just see their like innocence and like their love for it, and it just like it's so nice to see and like refreshing that, you know, there's people that come in, they're coming in with their parents, they're all doing it as a
Mhm.
family. Like it's just those are like my favorite moments, the people that, you know, really enjoy it and they come to our shop, and it like it makes their day when they're like opening their packs, sitting at the table, and like other customers are coming over and talking to them and getting involved. And it's crazy how many people have come to the shop and then form friendships with other customers, and then they all come
Mm.
together and they meet up. Like it's those moments that are the ones that like stick out to me, because I feel like, you know, we're doing something right, we're doing something good, we're like connecting all these people.
I was just say, yeah, you're the medium that's sort of building this community that
Yeah.
maybe, you know, even though they all live in the same local area, you know, they're not going to have the same conversation at a grocery store than
No.
they would like your card shop, right? So they may have never
Yeah.
even developed a friendship. And
Yeah.
yeah, the kid portion's great because they pull a, you know, a reverse hollow that's nothing to us, and they're like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this is the most amazing thing. And that's always so fun for me to watch, like when kids open packs and things like that. And you know, one thing I guess kind of lastly on the shop, I know you know you work with Dean doing
Yes.
this. I think you've talked about this in the past. I'm sure you have, and I know that Dean was doing like FIFA content for a while, and then wanted to move into more of the TCG. How long have you known Dean? How did that conversation come about for bringing him into the shop and talking about like actually going into business together? Because I feel like, you know, the popular saying is never going to business with friends, right? Like you
Yeah.
make friends after you've gone into business. How, I guess, what about Dean and you know your, I guess, original friendship made you say like, no, we're in this together. Like I trust him enough to be able to come into building this, you know, with me.
Yeah, so it's really crazy. I actually met Dean, must be coming up 4 years ago now. He bought something from me on eBay. That was our first ever like
Really?
interaction. He bought a Secret Wonders master set and a Supreme Victors master set from me on eBay. And I think he saw my username, and I think he had seen like my Instagram profile or something. So messaged me just saying like, you know, thank you, like always wanted to get these sets or whatever. And then I sort of
He's like,
looked
can you
into it.
combine shipping? Like, you know, no, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
you know, just doing like a good little favor on eBay.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's so funny when people ask like, "How did you meet?" And we're like, "eBay." Like they're like, "How does that even work?"
You're like, that's not
Um,
a. What does that mean? Yeah.
yeah, it's not a normal interaction. So yeah, and then I saw that he streamed, and that's when I was starting to do the YouTube streams and stuff. And he, you know, I sort of asked him for some advice here and there on things like in that area. And then I invited him to come and do a, I think it was a fossil box break with me.
Mm.
He came to like mine, we did it from my streaming room, and we just got on, like me, Harry, and Dean, who's my other business partner. We all just clicked, and like from there we started doing more streams together, sort of obviously became friends outside of that. And then yeah, we just became like inseparable basically. And I think it like helped because we were doing the same things. Our both our businesses were based around Pokemon, streaming, all that
Hmm.
sort of stuff. I always had my website where I sold. So it was before it was Collector's Card House, it was Chloe's Card House. And I had my website where I sold all my sealed product, like everything I get from distribution and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I think after a couple of years of being friends, we were talking and thought, you know, let's like combine powers because the more heads, the better, basically.
Yeah.
And we're like on the same level with like what we want, like work wise, like the amount of, you know, like goals we have with like building the business. And then after we sort of joined and were doing it online for a while, we'd always loosely said, oh, it would be so cool to open a shop at some point. And then the conversation got more serious. We started looking for locations. And then before we knew it, we were committed and we were opening a physical store. But it was about a year in the build up to actually the idea coming to us and then the store actually opening. There was a lot that went into it, a lot of research, finding the right location, so like, I mean, it's the list is endless. There's so much stuff that just goes, you just don't get the keys one day and go, right, this is it, we're opening up
All
a
right,
card
this is
shop.
my
Like,
shop now. No paperwork.
yeah,
We're good to go, right?
there's a lot more that goes into it, but yeah, I think we're just very similar people. We both are motivated by the same things. We have the same sort of goals and aspirations, so it just ended up working well. And yeah, don't get me wrong, not every day is easy. We don't all agree on everything all the time, but that's business. That's, you know, that's how
Right.
it is. And sometimes it's good to have people, you know, question your thought process, or you question their thought process. I think it brings out the better in people as well.
Well, I think it's nice because, you know, I've seen you guys, you know, live stream, and I think it's harder, especially when you do longer format live streams, to, um, and not saying you or anyone I know would do this, but BS a personality. Like, you can only do
Yeah,
that for so long, and during a live stream and a dynamic like that. So, one thing I've always laughed is I've seen you on multiple occasions just absolutely keel over laughing because of
yeah.
stuff that Dean says, and I think that's like, I think that shows like that you can't fake things like that. And I've
No,
always
yeah,
enjoyed your guys' dynamic. I always,
yeah.
I think I recall you said like he's like one of the funniest people you know, and I
He
think
is,
that's like,
honestly.
yeah, and that's, I think that's so important. Like, if you're gonna do something long term with someone, even in business, like you've got to have some sort of you know, a personality
Yeah,
connection, you know, when it comes to that.
definitely.
So
Yeah.
no, that's funny. The eBay origin story.
Yeah,
That's
the
one that's
eBay
gonna stand
origin
out to
story.
me. So just so you know, guys, your very next business partner, just eBay. Just start buying.
You never
It's a
know.
great platform. Yeah, it's a, you know, it's a relationship connector. It's where you can buy cards. No,
Everything.
yeah, exactly. Um, so I want to talk about a little bit. You know, you're looking in the UK. I'm in the US. Obviously, the US is it's a gigantic place. I think people who haven't traveled internationally don't realize the sheer size of the
Mhm.
US and like how large it is. Obviously, we've got a lot of issues with international shipments coming over here, and just a lot of political things that are affecting really a lot of operational issues, you know, for people. Specifically, people I know who are like getting Japanese Pokemon boxes, they've had to change, you know, the way they do that. I know you guys with PSA right now. I think April 26th. For anyone watching this from the UK, get your cards to Chloe before the
Yeah.
26th because it's cut off right now. Um, how what is the mindset of someone located outside of the US like looking at this? I mean, is it something that like makes you guys nervous? Is it just something that you're like, hey, you know, we're going to adapt and kind of look how we can do this? Because you travel here as well, so you get to kind of see a
Yeah.
little bit of both sides of it. But what's been your experience, I guess, with all this happening? I mean, has it impacted the business to an extent where you're like, man, we really got to make some major changes, or does it feel like a temporary, hey, we're going to be fine, like this is just a small inconvenience?
Yeah, I think it's a weird one at the moment. It's a bit of like a grey area where it's happened and it's happening. And anything that's ever happened, like obviously not quite on this scale, but we have had to adapt to every decision or, you know, outside sort of, you know, third party decision that's happened that might affect us. It's a really weird one with the whole PSA stuff. We're still working through it at the moment, and no one really fully knows how much of an effect it's going to have, I think, until a lot further down the line. Obviously, we were hit with the news one morning and that was it. It was just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And we had loads of people messaging us, panicking, being like, you know, I want to submit cards to you, or I've already submitted cards to you. And like, you know, we at that same point, we didn't know any more than they did. So it's been a lot of sort of like trial and error and time and research. It's really weird because we're, like you say, we travel a lot to the US. So we see how the US works, how the UK works, and kind of everything in between. But I have friends that do this as a job and they don't leave the UK. They stay in the UK. They
Mm,
only do UK shows. So for them, it's like it doesn't come
it's
into their
huge.
bubble. It doesn't, yeah, like affect anything. Whereas like the people who do sort of like cross paths with it and do both sides, I suppose for me, it's too early to tell if there's going to be any like major implications on anything. And I think it's just as things happen, we adapt to them and we deal with them as they come. There's no easy way of telling what that's going to look like down the line. But I'm not like majorly worried at the moment. But then again, there could
Mhm.
be some other announcement that comes out of the blue that we're not
Yeah,
expecting. And it
5,000% tariffs on the UK. Yeah,
yeah.
something crazy.
So yeah, for us, it hasn't sort of shaken things too crazy. It's just the PSA stuff at the moment, but obviously we're kind of in the middle of dealing with all of that anyway.
Well, I think what's nice, you're fairly diversified. And I think makes you a little bit different in that space, right?
Yeah.
Because there's some people that you and I both know that they exclusively sell Japanese products, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that was a big issue. I mean, they can obviously overcome it and just say, hey, I'm just going to charge more. But um, even when it comes into like, how are we getting things shipped in? How are we going to distribute this over here? What does that look like? Because a lot of the
Yeah.
people who I know that do this are more, they're almost distributors, really, like unofficial distributors from Japan. And that was a really big hit to them. But the reason is they were specific to that only. Like, that was their business. There was nothing really else that was going on. And one thing I like about what you guys do and what you do specifically is you're kind of all over the place. I mean,
Yeah.
is it safe to say Chloe's like global at this point?
Yeah,
I feel
I
like you
suppose
kind of
so.
are. Yeah. It's like, like you mentioned, people in the UK, like they just do business there and that's pretty much
Yeah.
it. But you are constantly here, you're there. I mean, you're all over the place. So I do feel like that is something that for people watching, to be able to kind of take from and know that like diversifying kind of what you do in the space is always a good way to mitigate risk a little bit. I mean, not that these are very common times, like this type of stuff doesn't
No.
happen all the time. But when it does, it probably gives you a little bit of solace knowing like, hey, this is a small aspect of the business. Like, I'm not fully reliant on that. So,
Yeah,
um,
definitely.
yeah. So kudos to you for being able to kind of be all of those things at once, even though it eats into every piece of time that you've got.
Literally, yeah.
Um, kind of moving on a little bit from the business side, I want to talk about, um, a little bit more about you specifically. So, you've done your Pokemon origin story. I'm not going to
Mhm.
ask you to do that. One thing I am curious about, Halloween is a very special time for you.
Yes.
You just
If you
seeing your
can't
eyes light up with this. Yeah.
tell by my Mike
It's a
Myers.
purposeful Mike Myers. And your video you posted today of I
Yeah.
think it was Mike Myers in heels or
Yeah, it
something.
was.
Uh, it's great. Where did the passion for like horror movies and like really liking, how, I mean, you always do like huge box breaks. You always do like, your costume and stuff,
Yeah.
for Halloween. And I feel like people like really, they think Halloween, if they're in the Pokemon space, you're like, what's Chloe going to do
Yeah.
at this point? And obviously your posting goes up like 50% because you're like, here come all the Halloween memes.
It's
Where does
crazy.
that come from? Like, how did you get into that? I guess, is there a catalyst of like young Chloe, like that pushed you into really liking that stuff?
I think I don't really know. I've always been like a horror movie fan. And it's funny because like when I was younger, like as much as they used to scare me, like I just could never stop. Like I'd be the friend, like we'd go for a sleep, you come for a sleepover at mine, it'd be horror movies. All my friends were like, no, like I can't take this anymore.
No, not
Um,
again.
yeah, and it's just always like I don't know, it's just always something I've enjoyed. And I think when getting back into collecting, obviously I collect other things as well. Like I have my like Funko collection, mainly horror figures. I get loads of people gift me like crazy things like to do with Mike Myers, like one of my favorite like horror characters, which I don't know if that's a weird thing at this point. Like I have a display behind my camera over there and it looks like a bit of a shrine to Mike Myers. That's not what it's meant to be. It's just all my like collectibles on display. And then with Pokemon, I kind of wanted to like link the two together. And I thought, what's something I can do around Halloween that's fun? And then that's where the
Mhm.
whole doing a big box break. So I don't really do many big vintage box breaks throughout the year. I open a lot of
Mhm.
modern sets when they come out. I kind of stay on top of what's popular at the time. But Halloween is like that one time a year. And like I don't like do any cosplay or anything like outside of like
Mhm.
dressing up for my Halloween
You go
stream.
pretty
Like,
hard in Halloween. That's what I love.
yeah,
It's like you don't do
that's
anything, and all of a sudden you're Pennywise, and it's like,
that's it.
what?
Like that's when it changes up. So yeah, I kind of like I thought it'd be a really fun thing to like link the two together. And then it's just become a bit of like a staple on the channel now. Like
Mhm.
people know me as like the horror girl and they know the Halloween stream is always a big deal. Like not only is it like a really fun box that we open, but they get to see the costume, which I put a lot of time and effort into. It's like my favorite thing that happens over the year.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was just my love of horror films, really. That's where it kind of started. And it's kind of just woven its way into what I do today. And I love it. It's like it's my favorite part of the year in like my work. Like it's all
yeah.
like I'm currently brainstorming for this year's
For the
Halloween
next
stream.
costume.
It normally starts around now. Working out what box I'm going to open and working out the costume. And yeah, it's a whole process.
All right, well, guys, you heard that, and here in about 15, 20 minutes, we'll start going through chat questions. If you guys have a costume for Chloe this year that
Yes.
she should consider, drop
Let me know.
ideas now because we will go through them. And what's funny is you might be the only content content creator I know that as you're streaming, you've got Mike Myers just staring at you to bring you solace as you're going through. Because I can see you kind of just looking up. He's like looking back, like, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's fun.
Why Mike Myers of all the horror people? Because it's one thing, like I like, Freddy Krueger, I thought is always great because I like people with dialogue, and I think he's hilarious. And I've seen all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, and I'm a huge I love zombie movies and stuff like that. So not a particular character, but Freddy Krueger is probably if I had to pick one. Why Mike Myers of all?
It's honestly, I've always loved the Halloween like franchise, and I'm not just talking about like the remakes that have come out like in the last sort of 15 years. I'm talking about the original Halloween movies as well. There's just something like mysterious. He just, he doesn't say a word, but he's this like really powerful character. And yeah, I think after watching, like when I was a kid, probably shouldn't have been watching Halloween when I was a kid, but
how young was she?
I think after the first time there was just something like I just like couldn't get enough of it. And then obviously they did all the remakes like 15 odd years ago, like Jamie Lee Curtis obviously coming back and everything. And yeah, it's just I can't pinpoint what it is. There is just something that draws me to him. I feel like I'd be friends with him if I met him in real life. He'd probably try and kill me. But
not a big talker. Not a big talker
yeah. Yeah, it's just, and he is stuck as like the main character that like most of my like horror collectibles are like based around him. I have him on my custom artwork behind me with Pennywise as well. Yeah, there's just something, it's like the mystery about him that I've always just like clicked and been drawn to, and probably not a very normal thing. Like it's probably not a conversation start like opener when I meet new people. But yeah, like Green Tea in the chat say Chloe runs towards Michael instead of away. That is me. That is literally me.
Yeah. So silent, mysterious guy with a mask and a knife. Chloe's like, that's it. That's my guy. We'd be friends.
That works for me.
Well, because you mentioned like, horror collectibles. We won't call it a shrine or a dedication. We'll just call it collectibles, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious outside of, I know you're a huge Chansey collector. That's like your go-to. And anytime I see any Chansey card, I literally like it's burned into my brain. I'm like,
Chloe.
Like I just can't help it. I'm like, I wonder if Chloe, she probably loved this. Outside of say like cards, is there anything that you collect that you maybe you don't actively collect, but like another collectible outside of cards that you find like really interesting or really cool, or you're like, man, maybe I'll look into that one day, or like, maybe someone has shown a collection that you're like, I would have never thought to like collect these things, like anything that kind of stands out outside of cards that kind of scratches the collector's itch, I guess, a little bit for you.
Yeah. So Funko Pops for me, like, especially with like, again, going back to Mike Myers, I have nearly one of every Mike Myers Funko Pop. Like I bought my first Chase Pop. When was it? I think it was New Jersey last year. It's the first time I'd ever seen one in the wild. And like my level of excitement, I just like, I couldn't contain myself. I probably well overpaid for it as well, but I was like, I need it and I want to have it. I'm also, I don't know if I would call myself a collector, but I'm a really big sneaker fan. I love a good
We've talked about this a little bit. Yeah. You'll post a fit of the day or something, and I'm like, are those Travis Scott?
Yeah, what shoes is she
yes,
wearing?
they are. I'm like, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I wear everything I buy. Like there isn't a pair that I wear and I put away and like, don't touch. I believe, they're made to be worn. However, there is there's a Freddy Krueger pair of Dunks that are like
crazy expensive
dollars or something crazy, and like I don't ever want to buy them because I'm never going to spend that money. I just want to hold them one day. I just want to touch them and say that I have held them and touched them. So like that's something else that I think maybe as I get a little bit older, I will start to make it more of a collectible thing for me. But my problem is I know whatever I buy, I want to wear them. And then that's like kind of like defeating the object of like looking after them and like, putting them away safe. So that's something else like that's like a little interest of mine. And I think people can tell from the videos, like me and my Travis Scott's like some of my favorites. But yeah, other than that, that's kind of it. Like again, because I'm just like work consumes my life and it's Pokemon all the time. And obviously I have my personal Pokemon collection, which I go through phases. Like there'll be months and months where I buy nothing for my personal collection, and then sometimes I'll dip back into it. But yeah, it tends to be if I'm like out somewhere at another convention or I see something, it kind of sparks it back up and I'll start, you know, buying my Funkos again and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, good pair of sneakers. Like I want to get a bit more serious with like actually putting a collection together.
Mhm.
But that's just another thing that's going to cost a lot more money. So it's like, where do you stop?
Well, it's, you know, as someone who has been in that for like 2 or 3 years, I mean, the last year has been pretty dark, you know, for sneakerheads and things like that because everything has dropped and Nike
Yeah.
just made way too much. But you know, when you start talking about like Freddy Krueger dunks, it's like, okay, well, hold on, that might be a little bit. So Chloe in 10 years, I want to see just casual Freddy Krueger dunks. You're rocking those in the shop. Like that would
Could
be
you imagine
amazing.
POV? They'd be like, what is she wearing? Surely
Yeah.
not. Oh, that's
And
like
then
the
one
ultimate
sneakerhead.
lifestyle. That's the ultimate dream.
Yeah, one sneakerhead's like, wait, what? What are you? I'm buying a $20 card. What are you wearing? You know,
Yeah,
like,
surely not. Yeah, that would be
and
crazy.
you know, with the personal collection, especially with like cards and things like that, because you did bring up a good point. It's like, you know, your whole world revolves around Pokemon. I mean, I've got certain PC items that I hold back, and you know, what I find with myself is it's sometimes really hard to not just assign the monetary value to those things, and
Yeah.
especially with some of the things that you own. How, I mean, when you say PC item, and I'm sure there are some that are like this, but let's say like taking it all as its own collection, how permanent is a PC for you? Is it always moving? Is it like, hey, it's kind of time, my passion for this particular card or whatever it is faded? How permanent is it? Is it literally like, hey, I don't even remember this. I'm not going to look at it right now until I go back to it. What does that look like for you, collecting actually for personal?
I mean, it a lot of mine are pretty permanent. Like a lot of the cards I
Mhm.
have in my PC I've had for a long time. And, you know, don't get me wrong, people have said, you know, I know you own this card, like, would you ever consider selling? Or, you know, because it's jumped up or it's gone crazy. And I'm like, for me, like a lot of them, and like a lot of them aren't crazy expensive either. A lot of the items I have, it's
Mhm.
that I want them and I want to keep them. And there's things I've like had to work towards getting, and like being able to finally own the item and have it in my collection. I don't want to let it go, like, because of the build up and you finally get there. Like, why did I do all of that just to let it go? Don't get me wrong, there are really cool things that have definitely passed in and out of my collection, but for me now, especially if I'm going to buy something for my personal collection, it's with the view that it's staying there for a
Mhm.
significant amount of time. And yeah, it's really mixed. I mean, my main personal collection mainly consists of slabs and binders. But I'm on a bit of a mission at the moment. I want to fill an entire pink Vault X binder with the Twilight Masquerade Chansey. So I just, anytime I see one, if one comes into the shop, I'm sorry for anyone who's coming into the shop trying to buy that card, we're not going to have it because
It's they're out of
I
stock
always buy
permanently.
them all. And like I'll see like someone try and put it in the binder, like one of the team. I'm like, we've had this
Hold
conversation.
on
It
a
has to come to me. I might like let one slip through every now and then. But yeah, for me, normally if I'm serious about wanting it in my collection, whether it's expensive or not,
Mhm.
it's gonna stay there for a decent amount of time.
Well, it because I think that is important. You know, a lot of people talk about like a PC, but I think, especially in like a market boom like we're in, it's like, guys, that's just like your 60-day inventory. Like, let's not kid each
Yeah.
other. Like, this isn't like a PC item. You know, with especially things like, you know, hey, I want the Twilight Masquerade like Chansey at a binder. Like that. That's where I'm like, okay, this is an actual like that's a
Yeah.
specific goal, right? Like you're not
Very.
going to have a buyer go, I'm ready to pay a crazy premium for like 37 Chanseys, you know,
Yeah, like the
whatever it
same
is.
card again and again and again. There's just not gonna really be anyone out there.
Yeah. What was Chansey like the childhood favorite Pokemon, I'm assuming, or what is it that I guess I can answer this question internally, like why Chansey, but like why for you out of all the original 151 and all the ones that have been made since, like has your passion for Chansey ever waned like at all? Or is it just like once you decided like that's mine, like that's who I'm going for? Like why that Pokemon specifically?
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, not really, like, to be honest with you. It's when I sort of got back into it as an adult. Like, Chansey for me is just like a little bit of peace and happiness. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. And there's never been a point where I've been like, that's not my favorite Pokemon anymore. It's like,
Mm,
I think it's like a bit like, for me, like, I don't know if it's different for boys. Like, everyone loves Charizard. Everyone loves the most powerful Pokemon. Like, some of the best cards are obviously, the big Charizard cards. Like, don't get me wrong, I can appreciate a nice card, but for me, it doesn't have to be the biggest, the best, the most expensive. It just like
Like
it
the
just doesn't.
personality, I guess.
Yeah, it just doesn't interest me. But yeah, no, Chansey for me is just like, I can't explain, just zen, peace, happiness, my little egg, and it just makes me happy.
Well, it's funny because I love how first I love how well rounded you are, but I feel like we're seeing like kind of almost like the two sides of Chloe and what you collect. It's like you got the Mike Myers side, and then you've got like the happy Chansey side. It's like if they ever do a Chansey Mike Myers cosplay card or something, that's probably your
That would be
dream
insane.
card. Yeah. I don't know why they would, but
The two opposites, honestly.
yeah, someone make one of the fake cards that look really good and
Oh, that would be
give that
awesome.
to Chloe. A Chansey with a Mike Myers mask. That would be amazing. And when it comes to Chansey specifically, I mean, you collect. I feel like it's great that you've like put that out there because I can't even imagine how many people give you Chansey items at this
Oh my
point or like
gosh.
want to do that. Is there one that you've been given that like stands out? I mean, not that saying it's better or worse, but just like it's like a memorable like I didn't even know this was a thing, or maybe it's something that you wanted for a while. Like, what would be your favorite Chansey item? I guess that you've got right now.
So I'm looking at it right now. It's like on top of my shelf. It's actually, let me get it. Let me see
All
if
right,
I
go for
can,
it.
hold on.
Yeah, go for it. Also, chat while she's getting that, if you guys want to drop any questions for Chloe, we're going to start getting those answered here in the next few minutes. So feel free, drop them in. We'll get them answered.
So there's a company called So Much Thread, and it is basically, I'll show it to you. It's a sewn Chansey. So this is all individual string
Oh my
that's
gosh.
been sewn together. And I think this is the favorite, like my most favorite item that I've ever been gifted. Like the amount of work, and like I can't explain to you how like detailed and intricate and how much string is on this.
Yeah,
And
you can see the texture. That's so.
yeah,
Where did you pick that up? You said someone
um,
gifted it to you?
so I saw the guy at Orlando Collecticon, the very first Collecticon I ever went to back in 2023, it must have been. And he said, I'd love to make a Chansey one for you.
Mhm.
And they take a really, really long time. And I said, yeah, that'd be incredible. Like, I'll keep it in my streaming room forever. And yeah, about 8 months later, I received it in the post, and it sits on top of, I've got like a big storage, like shelving system with like a little bit of everything on. And this sits at the top, and it's like one of my
It's the
favorite
queen
items.
of the
Yeah,
yeah.
it's one of the favorite items I've ever been gifted. And yeah, I mean, I get so many incredible gifts. And like sometimes I'm like, I have enough chances. Like I don't need, like I don't want to take from anyone. But yeah, the amount of people that like come in, if they ask me to sign a card, they've like found a Chansey in their collection. And like
Right.
I know it pains people, like people drawing on cards sometimes. I'm like drawing on a Twilight Masquerade Chansey. I'm like, this could go in the binder. But yeah,
You're like wanting to take it from them. They're like, "Can you
yeah,
sign this for me?" You're like,
literally. But
"How
yeah,
much do you want for it?" Yeah.
I've been gifted some incredible things like little custom cards. I mean the list goes on, but everything anyone gives me I keep, and that's why my streaming room is just full of stuff everywhere.
Mhm.
There's no organization. But yeah, been gifted some incredible things. But yeah, this sewn Chansey is definitely
That's so. I mean, I love that because
one of
it's
my favorites.
workmanship, right? Like that took a
Oh,
lot of
it
hours
took a
to
lot
make.
of time. Like I don't even know where you'd start with that to make it look like a Chansey, let alone it being that incredible. So yeah, no, I'm very,
Yeah, you're
very
just holding
lucky.
like one pink thread. You're like, I have to turn this into that. I don't
Yeah,
know how
but how
that
does that
happened.
even work? But
Yeah.
it does, and yeah, no, it's absolutely insane.
No, that's super cool. And I did laugh because I saw you post like when you fly over here to the States, you have that gigantic Chansey. And you're like, how do I get you home?
I had to buy a whole suitcase for it, and it was the size of a large suitcase. I told myself, I was like, I'm going to order it from Target. I went and picked it up the next day, and I was like, I'll just sort of like squeeze it into my current case.
Mhm.
Was never going to happen.
Didn't work.
I had to order a suitcase on Uber Eats the morning I was leaving, get it delivered
Just
to
the
the
links for
hotel.
the Chansey. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
honestly, just for the chance. And it was a pink suitcase as well, so it was very fitting. But yeah, that I saw that, and I hadn't seen the supersized Squishmallows in the
Mhm.
UK, and I was like, I'm not leaving without getting this home one way or the other. And it's now at home on my sofa, and we sit and watch TV together because I
Oh
don't know
my
where she's
god.
going. Other than that, I've got nowhere else to put her.
That's where we need the day off post from you.
Oh
Like you and
yeah,
Chansey just
just
like
Literally with
Yeah.
our popcorn watching a movie. Yeah, that is literally
Or
what
like
it looks
just
like.
Mike Myers, Chansey on the couch, you in the middle,
Me in the
me and my
middle.
bestest friends. Yeah.
It's
Oh man, that's
crazy.
awesome. Well, what I want to do, Chloe, is we're coming up on a few more minutes. I want to go through. I think we've got maybe a few chat questions.
Okay.
We've got some Halloween costume ideas. So I want to go through those for just a few minutes. And guys, if you're still watching, any questions, any Halloween costume ideas? Like now's the time to do it. Chloe is in the planning stage and making it happen. And if you guys have not seen what she does in Halloween, like don't be timid with your ideas. She
Yeah.
will do whatever. I mean, at this point, I mean, it's crazy to see the level of detail. Um, let's see here. Your average player, you know this guy. He's a cool
Yes.
guy. Thank you for being here, man. I'm glad I could do it at a time that works for you as well. Harry Snorlight says, "Oh my God, it's Chloe." Green Tea said Chloe travels more in the States than I do. Yeah, I would say, yeah, you've been to more places in the States in a short period of time than I will in like years. So,
That's crazy.
which by the way, do you have a favorite place you've been in the States, whether it's for collecting or collecticon, I
Um,
mean, or just personal?
I love New York. I've always loved New York. And there's an area in Florida called Sanibel, which when I get the time to take a personal holiday, I normally go there as a break. And yeah, it's one of my favorite places.
Your once every 5 year break that you get
Yeah.
doing everything. um, Kevin says, "Happy first anniversary for last week, Chloe. Here's to many more as Collectors Cardhouse is a great day out." That's
Thank you.
awesome. Boondock says, "Hey, I met Chloe in Chicago. Any good finds? Anything stood out while you were in CollectCon?"
Twilight Masquerade Chances. I bought a few. I
I'm sorry, I
actually,
just didn't
yeah,
expect it.
I did buy a slab for my personal collection. I was missing a Japanese base set Chansey in a 10, so I managed to pick one of those up. And I think that was pretty much it. I didn't go too crazy. We bought a lot of stuff for the shop, like singles and slabs and stuff. But yeah, personal collection was the base 10 Chansey Japanese and the Hall of Twilight Masquerade Chances.
The call. That's what it's gonna be. The actually it'd be a pretty funny video to have like you just like looking around and then the Mike Myers like piano plays and then it's just a Twilight Masquerade Chansey somewhere
Just
that
sitting
you're
there.
like, yeah, it's like I feel like that would be hilarious. So Thrifty says I message Squeaks on eBay so he answers me. Yeah, you gotta that's like stalking the LinkedIn just to get a response. Um, Lauren said, "Hey friends, it's Swiss Collecting. Hey, I said, hey, how are you doing? I'm glad that glad you jumped in." Green Tea says, "Miss Worldwide. You're global now, Chloe. It makes sense."
I know.
We read this. Green Tea said Chloe runs toward Michael instead of
Very
away.
true.
Yeah, I love this. It's because Michael is a Florida man and Chloe loves a Florida
Yeah,
man.
true. I love those Florida man news stories. They make me die, honestly.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Kevin says Halloween suggestion maybe Bride of Chucky opening Hollow Phantoms.
I would love to open Holland Phantoms. It's been one that I've always wanted to do for Halloween. It's just such a big box and obviously very expensive. Last year I did Fire Red Leaf Green, which was the first EX era box I ever opened. So yeah, watch this space is all I would say. But Holland Phantoms is definitely on the list of boxes I want to open on Halloween.
Are you a fan of Chucky movies?
I do like Chucky. I've actually got. I'm trying to see. I can't see if I can see it. I've got a couple.
I'm kind of loving this that anytime I'm asking about horror stuff, you're like, hold
I
on,
know
it's
it's because it's like right in my vision over there. I got a couple of Chucky Funko Pops, and my friend bought me this like really vibrant, crazy Chucky purse that sits on my backdrop as well. I got a strange collection of things.
I love it. I love it. Let me see here. So Fat Belly Collect says, "What does PokiChloe's personal collection look like? Most expensive, most rare, and favorite."
Okay. Ooh. So currently my most expensive is probably my Secret Wonders box. It's a set I always wanted to open, and since I've got the box, I don't want to open it, so it's going to stay sealed in the personal collection. Most rare is probably I've literally bought it in December actually. It's a Japanese based Chansey, but it's square cut. And I just hadn't seen one before. So I thought that was pretty cool. I added that to the collection. And what was the other one? Oh, and favorite.
Favorite.
I
Well,
love
Twilight Masquerade Chansey.
my Twilight Masquerade Chansey. I love Koro Mew. It's one of my favorite cards. And I was very lucky. I graded it a few years ago and it hit a 10, and I kept that in my personal collection. And that's the same one I've had the whole time. So that would probably be one of my favorites.
That's awesome. My favorite Pokemon is Mew. You kind of mentioned that earlier, and I love
Yeah.
the Japanese, the play promo, the 7,000 point, where it's
Oh,
like
okay.
floating with the boulders and stuff.
Yeah,
It's like the
that's a
best Mew
beautiful
art in my
card.
opinion. Yeah, people always like, is it Shining Mew or that one? And that's, I mean, I just think it's no contest. I'm like,
Yeah.
the play promo is just the coolest thing
Yeah, no, it's
ever.
really nice.
Let me see. Kevin said, "Hey, Chloe, congrats on your first anniversary. What have you learned since opening, and if you can reveal any upcoming plans? Also, is Collector Cardhouse merch on the horizon?" That's always a fun question to get.
It is. So Green Tea is actually a good friend of mine, does a lot of my graphic design work. Green Tea has been, he wants Collector's Cardhouse merch so bad. It's something I would really like to do. It's just, again, this year has gone so quickly. We just haven't even had the time to sit down and focus on it. But that's something I would love to add this year. I think for the card house this year, it's just keep going as we are, just keep growing. I'd love to eventually be able to expand the shop in one way or another. I don't know what that looks like yet. People keep asking, are you going to open a second location? Honestly, no, not in the near
Yeah.
future. One location is enough. But I'd like to be able to do a bit more with the space we've got. But I feel like until you open a shop or open any business, until you actually start living and being in that, like that space, you don't know how it works for you. You don't know if you're going to want to change something, or, you know, you're going to want to adjust something down the line. So I think there'll be a few small tweaks here and there, but yeah, it's basically just keep going as we are, and just growing, and growing the team as well.
Do you think that you would, because one thing that, a lot of kind of mutual friends we have in the space, they do is, they have a presence on like, eBay Live or Fanatics and like any of the auction houses. I mean, have you guys ever talked about like expanding the brand into like, hey, we have streamers who do that, and that's just an extension of what you guys do? Because I know you do pack rips on YouTube and you do openings on YouTube and things like that. But do you ever see yourself like expanding the Card House brand, I guess, into that?
Yeah, so we do actually have a streamer called Alfie who streams on Whatnot for us.
Mhm.
We started it around the time that the shop opened, and that has also grown bigger and quicker than we could have imagined. And everyone knows Alfie as the card house streamer guy. Like, he's got, a great audience, great following on there. So that's something we want to keep growing and working on, and again, expanding that. I would love to have like a streaming booth in the shop. It's something that I
Mhm.
originally wanted before we opened, and it was just getting a bit like too tight for time. Like, we'd already had the keys for like 6 months, and we'd like built the whole space out, and we were like ready to open, and we still didn't have this streaming booth. And it just, like, at the time it was like, that's going to have to wait. So that's something I'd love to add in, where like our own streamers can stream from, and maybe other people can come in and stream from the card house, and just make it a little bit more interactive. People can come and watch. And I went to a card shop in Atlanta, Cards HQ, and I've never experienced anything like it. It's the biggest card shop I've ever been in, and there is like 5, 6, 7 different streaming booths. There's a whole podcast room, and like, when I was standing in there, I was like, this is what I want Collector's Card House to look like one day. I don't know how we're going to get there, but that's kind of like the dream, to have like this, like almost like a warehouse where everything happens under one roof and everyone can kind of see what's going on. It was a really cool experience.
Well, I feel like that's kind of a fun reason to like go there too, or an
Oh yeah.
additional reason to go there. It's like, well, I want to see what Alfie looks like streaming. Like, I want to see kind of the behind the scene, like what it
Yeah.
really looks like.
Yeah.
And then plus, it's definitely a cool idea. Like, if you have someone who streams regularly, like I know you guys had Cool Trader Ryan come out there, and you've had a few other
Yeah.
people who come out, you guys have done videos with. But if for anybody who rips, it's like, they're still bringing their audience there, but they're like, I'm doing this at Collector's Card House. Like, how cool is this? Like, it's like an event area, like where you're
Yeah.
able to kind of build that. So, do you think I don't know how it is in the UK. I don't think I think when I talked to Sam, he was telling me that eBay Live wasn't, and this was a while back, but is eBay Live even available in the UK now, or is it?
No, it's not at
Yeah.
the moment. I imagine it will be at some point in the future. But yeah, so whenever anything happens with any of these companies, we're always a little bit behind. We always get everything like a fair few months after you guys do. It always
Yeah.
seems to launch in the US, and then it comes sort of after, down the line over here.
Right. Yeah. Because I was like, yeah, it's interesting, because I remember him telling me that, and he was like, I'm so jealous, like, because I was with Nick, old school Pokemon,
Yeah.
who we just had an episode with a couple days ago, who just it's eBay 6 nights a week. He's doing eBay
It's
lives
crazy.
forever. I mean, just a machine, and one of the like most positive people I've ever seen for how many hours he actually is putting into this. But
Yeah.
that was one thing I remember Sam saying, like, yeah, it's crazy the differences, and even though it's still eBay, it's like the US versus the UK and kind of the rules and what you can do and what you can't do is just,
Yeah.
yeah, it benefits us at least right now. But yeah, I'm excited to, if that does come over there, you guys can kind of, if unless you stay with one time, that's just your preferred partner, and that's what you
Yeah.
guys do. But I could see you guys definitely in the future considering, growing that to where it really is a,
Branching out.
it matches you. It's a global presence, right? Like you're
Mm,
everywhere.
of
Um,
course.
so I'm sorry for stealing a little bit of the thunder from your question,
That's
Kevin.
okay.
Did we talk about merch? Is merch coming?
Yeah, it's something I would definitely like to do. Will introduce it at some point, and I know Green Tea's probably itching to put some designs together, so I will let that happen at some point.
All right, awesome. The other bud says Halloween suggestion. I'm going to butcher this. Kaoke Seiki, the girl from The Grudge. I love the shop POVs, by the way. Collector's Cardhouse to Moon Beyond.
Yeah, a couple of people have suggested the Grudge girl to me. I feel like I can't have as much fun with that one as like a look, but to be honest, my makeup artist is so incredible. She'd probably find a way to make it like the glamour like that I add to my to look. So yeah, no, that's definitely been suggested to me a few times. It's a very good costume suggestion. I like it.
I'm just imagining like, you go full commit to character, just quiet the
Just
entire
got
time.
silent
Just
the
don't
whole
say
time.
anything. Like you're sitting there,
Not a
stream
word.
starts, and you just look up and then just begin, and then you end it after a couple hours. That would be,
That'd be quite
I wouldn't put
funny.
it past you. You're dedicated, so you never know. New movie. Kevin says new movie idea. Chansey
Chance.
Myers, the back.
I
Somebody get
love
a fake movie box. We got to just start really making Chloe's collection weird. Um, Chaos Empire says, I've just picked up Core Mu-10 myself.
Oh
It's
wow.
such a stunning card. Completely
Congrats.
agree. Dress up as Chica from Five Nights at Freddy.
What a film.
I've actually not, it's one of the few, I've never seen it.
Oh really? It's good.
I,
I recommend. I
I
recommend.
probably should, but yeah, I've heard good things. Fabulous Collect says, stuff that comes in the store that you want to keep for personal. How do you manage that? Or maybe to expand on that, how do you prevent yourself from PCing items? Like I've seen you with like a snap, or not a snap. Maybe you've had a snap Chansey and at least held one in the past, but I know you've had like the creatures deck Chansey, for example. How do you not PC this stuff? How do you control yourself and be like, this is for the business?
Yeah, it's a hard one. There are definitely items that come in like the beta Chansey that I would love to take and put in my PC. I think it's just like when those things come in, if it doesn't work for me at the time, like personally to be buying that item, then that immediately, like I know in my head, like I can't do it for whatever reason. And also at the end of the day, the business obviously benefits as well, which then, benefits me. It's my business, so it
Mhm.
works. So I think it does depend on the item. If a snap Chansey came in, that would be a tough one because I've never owned one, and that's my ultimate like grail
That's the
personal collection.
grail.
Yeah. Again, it would just depend on timing. If it comes at a time when the budget's tight, then it would be a no. But if it came at a time where it was like, okay, I can make this work, there would be some business decisions and discussions to be had.
The merch printers would start going burr at
Yeah,
that point. We got to
honestly.
get this snap
But yeah,
Chansey
we
paid
get a
for.
lot of cool items in, don't get me wrong. But I think when you do this as a business as well, you know where to draw the line a lot of the time. Like people say, like, how do you not sit there and open all your stock? I mean, for me, that's quite easy because I open packs for people on stream. I get that pack opening, enjoyment through that. When I'm done after like 2-3 hours of streaming, the last thing I want to do is open another Pokemon pack, to be honest with you. I want to have a break. So it's just it's very different. If you just do it as a hobby and you just personal collect, obviously I get that you want to open as much as you can and buy all these incredible cards, but because I see it so often and I'm involved in it so often, it does become easier to manage with regards to, do I want this for my PC, or like, don't I just want to rip open all the stock? And the answer is no most of the time.
Yeah, because you're
That's
already
just how
ripping open the stock,
Yeah,
so you kind of get it as a benefit to do that anyway. And
exactly.
that's one
Yeah.
thing with opening packs. I've never been someone who super enjoys it. I mean, I enjoy doing it with people, like doing a pack battle where somebody wants to open a pack. Like
Yeah.
that's fun, but Even the stuff I open at home, it's like, oh, I had something that was, say like a Blooming Waters collection, right? Like I'm like, oh, the pack price is awesome. Let's open some 151. I do it to kind of get an idea of the set. I'll probably open like 20, 25 packs, which is, I know
Yeah.
nothing compared to what you open. I think you just opened 500 packs yesterday.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, I get it. I pulled the Charizard. I'm happy. Like I've gotten that, but then it's basically singles after that. So I can get, as someone who opens so much product, it's like, yeah, I think the last thing that you want to do when you get off work is basically do the same thing that you do at
Yeah,
work, which is
literally.
open
Yeah.
more packs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Chloe, we are pretty much right on time. I think you were
Awesome.
early and we're literally right at an hour, which is what we always shoot for. So
Perfect.
I just want to say, like, I so thank you for coming on and having this conversation. This has been so fun to just kind of let the shoulders down, just talk through some of the stuff about you. I just find you so interesting and kind of unique in our space. And I think you bring a lot of like really, really great personality and what you're doing when it comes to, the card shop and kind of everything you're doing. I would say you're definitely a great example of putting your head down, getting the grind and seeing the success. And I think you just seriously deserve all the success that comes your way, like now and
Thank
going
you.
forward. So again, thank you for being you in the hobby. Thank you for coming on here. As we wrap up chat, just so you guys know, we'll have next Friday, our next stream is with Nat Turner from PSA. So
Incredible.
I'm sure there are plenty of questions that you'd like to ask him. He does a few interviews, but never really live. So if you guys have chat questions and things like that you want me to ask him, I gifted a few memberships earlier. If you are a member, I always put a community post where you guys can drop your questions in there, and your questions are guaranteed to be answered. So all I ask from that is please be nice. Don't complain about your 8.5s. He will not know why you got an 8.5. That's all I will say. But Chloe, I guess before we wrap up, what do you want to leave the people with? I guess anything you want to let them know, where you'll be, what to expect, anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, actually, for once this next month, I'm not traveling anywhere, and it feels so nice.
Nice.
Just to be at home. Yeah, I mean, if you want to find me, you can find me at my shop most of the times. I'm there day in, day out. And yeah, this year I'm just looking forward to going to more conventions, meeting more people in the space. There's a lot of new people getting into the hobby, even to like this day. Like we still have people come in saying, I just got in, I'm just getting started. So yeah, I'm excited to meet all the new people that I'm going to meet this year, and just keep growing the business basically and having a good time.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again, Chloe. Thank you, chat.
Thank you.
Like I said, guys, we'll be back next Friday. And yeah, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right, Chloe. I'll end this.